Man, that 2.2 story was great, right? I mean, everyone is singing its praises how amazing and earth-shattering it was. Best story quest in Wuwa history. It blew your socks off, blew your mind, it blew you. Right? Well, on the overarching level, the content was pretty damn good. Lots of pieces to the puzzle were given, and it really does make you wonder where the story will go next. The story is unraveling in an interesting direction with plenty of questions in my mind. What will happen to the Order? How will the Fraxidus dirty its grubby little paws next? You know, because they've been benched for 2 patches now. What will we see from the Sentinel and Fernodian after some big reveals about both of their natures? And what exactly is going to happen with Frolova, considering the leaks are all over the wall that she's going to be a playable character? So yeah, the story was solid. However, I'm going to have to piss in everyone's cereal and commit a heinous party foul. I already have a shiny medal of Dishonored because of that oh-so-amazing survey about skins and things no one uses, so let's get another one. I'm gonna lambast everyone's precious little Disney princess CARTETHYA and explain why the way Kuro handled her just did not work for me in the slightest. Now, I did not hate CARTETHYA, nor do I have a strong dislike for her. I also did not dislike the role she plays in the grand scheme of things. I did, however, find my pockets absolutely empty of fucks to give about the way Kuro characterized her and how they absolutely fumbled the execution. Treat this as more of a criticism of the 2.2 story as CARTETHYA's companion quest, which is what it is, rather than the 2.2 story itself. Same way Mount Firmament is for Jinsei or the Black Shores is for Shorekeeper, a comparison I'll go into deeper a little bit later. To put it simply, she sucks and lacks any compelling character trait we've seen in previous members of the roster. She's a little damsel lost in time and that is trying to find her true nature. Now that's fine. A trope is a tool, any idea can work in theory, and any idea can be absolutely butchered. But for some bizarre reason, they literally did go the Disney princess route. The more classic variety. Not so much the modern girl boss experience, which would suck as well, just for different reasons. Here she's singing for lost souls or something. Here she's getting flustered and embarrassed because she fell asleep on Rover's shoulder. Here she's talking about how that freak Azteco, let's call him the pursuer from Dark Souls 2, was actually her sparring partner. The dragon of Dirge Gehenna was actually her pet and dear friend, and she used to soar through the skies on his back. Look here, she's trying to make a heroic sacrifice like she knows Japanese women will cry when they see it, and she wants to get in on that grift to sell their tears. And there she is being the loser she is, failing to help Rover, but laws of anime and friendship roll a natural 20 and all is good. She just died, but not really. Here she just faced her oh-so-evil version in her true calling of, yeah, staying true to herself. If that doesn't sound like Disney to you, then nothing ever will. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is twofold. First and easiest one. Most of that shit was beyond lazy by Kuro. They made a cute character design and basically hoped that that would carry her, so they assigned the E-team for the writing. She's cute, fails at everything, and then dies, but then doesn't die, because we're gathering wives over here, and no turn will be unstoned in our pursuit of the greatest harem in anime gaming. That godforsaken gondola was padding of the most blatant and shameless variety. I was already not a big fan of the gondola in 2.0. It lacked the utility of other exploration features they added, and it was even worse here because its existence has one purpose, and that's listening to CARTETHYA yap about herself. You can't even speed up because Kuro desperately wants to sell you this piece of IKEA furniture with an anime skin. And what's the second problem? Well, the fact that Kuro already did most of the story, but better. With a few sprinkles of her own, CARTETHYA is a composite character of Jinsei and Shorekeeper, as well as their respective story quests. Mount Firmament, you got a hot babe guide that introduces you to the story and gets set aside for the grand finale? Check. But don't forget, they gave Chang Li a send-off in the way of a cool fight scene, but Gentarella gets shoved in a locker. They even teased it, but then the screen went black. You're helping a young woman determine her relationship to a deity? Check. Somewhat different, but the general premise remains. Determined, has clear goals, and fights for it. If that sounds like CARTETHYA to you, then you need to be lobotomized. Or you already are. Jinsei is determined. She has clear goals, as in protecting Jinzhou and its people, because she's their magistrate. She has a sense of duty to them. She goes through so much pain, sheer agony, in order to achieve her second awakening. CARTETHYA, on the other hand? CARTETHYA cutely falls asleep on your shoulder, cutely fails to help you in the grand finale, and has to cutely, quote-unquote, die in order for that massive L turn into a cute W, all in the name of her staying true to herself and defying fate. Both characters had Rover's help, cause duh, of course, he's our Giga Chad protagonist, but it's CARTETHYA's eternal loser ass Rover had to hard carry through it all. Hell, she had to get an assist from Cantarella as well, who by contrast to CARTETHYA just gets done dirty. Mind you, her companion quest doesn't matter. In the 2.2 story, she gets brushed aside despite the fact she gave up her second awakening and went through all that shit being the head of the Thessalius just for Kuro to fuck her by teasing a fun outro out of the story and turning the screen black. What about the Black Shores and Shorekeeper? She also wanted to make a heroic sacrifice, except she did, and it wasn't at the very end of the story where her retrieval felt like an afterthought. It wasn't Kuro going, oh right, shit, you're gathering lives. Here, chat with Imperator and they'll fix her. However, neither will work if the reason for the sacrifice isn't compelling. CARTETHYA's scene where she tells Rover to blah 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 some jargon, unite her with Fleur-de-Lis, and kill them both cause then the Fernodian is screwed. She doesn't know that. She has no reason to know that. Imperator tells us that such a thing is possible, but that's at the end of the story. Imperator only found this out after merging with Leviathan, so don't even at me that CARTETHYA could possibly know it because she's the Fernodian's resonator or whatever. Something that doesn't really have that much oomph in the story anyway, since she's always on the doing the right thing grind throughout it, with no hint of evil influence whatsoever. Shorekeeper, on the other hand? Well, she's an EXE. She's a computer program, and her entire character arc is about becoming more human and understanding Rover's amazing protagonist nature to save everyone. Especially her. The Tethys system is a super mega giga computer designed to fight the very thing our beloved self-insert MC has been fighting against for who knows how long. The Lament. So it only makes sense that Shorekeeper, being another computer, would bloop her ones and zeros and come to the conclusion she must sacrifice herself and basically act as the battery for the entire thing. It's a hell of an easier sell than whatever the hell CARTETHYA was doing with her verbal diarrhea salad. Well, what about the sacrifice itself? When it does actually happen for both characters. Shorekeeper literally sacrifices herself to save you and only further expresses her full dedication and devotion to Rover as she straight up vanishes in order to facilitate the absolute mandate behind Tethys' creation, fighting the Lament. Rover pulls out all the stops. We go deep into the system as it pulls out all the stops. Summoning trains out of portals, we dodge around in a place between places between the ones and zeros in a grand spectacle. We come face to face with its last line of defense as Shorekeeper is now its main battery, and we rip a hole through space in order to save her, and we have an amazing moment at the end of the story. Meanwhile, after CARTETHYA's failed attempt at getting isekai'd by Rover-kun, she gets a buff by Cantarella. Fleur-de-Lis beats her ass, and she comes in to save the day by failing with great success and promptly vanishing out of existence. Rover, realizing he might have failed to wife gather, tables the turns on Fleur-de-Lis and takes her out. She turns into CARTETHYA, we hit that orbital strike on Renacida, princess in hand, and after a quick chat with Imperator, she gets that much needed res. Let's be real, Kuro rushed this shit and tried to compensate by beating us over the head with kittens, CARTETHYA, until we're reduced to cuteness-afflicted zombies. And it clearly worked for most people since they're all slurping that Kuro glizzy like they dropped some kind of masterpiece on us. You know whose characterization hit and never stopped hitting? Fleur-de-Lis's. The character that is basically an echo from the past shackled to the present via evil machinations and is reunited with the proverbial present CARTETHYA. The details don't even matter because regardless of what she is, both characters are defined in very different ways along the same axis. So even though their alignments are the same, they come out of it as very different characters. I don't know if that makes sense. I know, let me give you an example. You know in anime there comes along a character that is a 10-year-old that has all the markings of a 10-year-old, but has some kind of convoluted reason to turn into a 25-year-old with all the markings of a 25-year-old? This is basically that. They're the same person on a technicality, but two very distinct characters. Like in Hyperdimension Neptunia, for example. Each character has a human form, which is a child, and a goddess form, which is a smoking hot anime babe. Amazingly, that's the second time I bring up that series in my videos. Anyway, hopefully that clarified my meaning. That one cutscene of Fleur-de-Lis marching towards a tsunami and cutting it in half, that shit was 10 times better than the entirety of CARTETHYA's screen time. So yeah, there you have it. Enjoy your pissed on cornflakes. My survey video was clearly off the mark even according to myself now. I'll pull on CARTETHYA if I can just have Fleur-de-Lis instead. Of course for free, and no, a transformation via resonance liberation or whatever isn't gonna cut it. Fuck peace. Just war. Have fun, folks.